Hey Reddit. Throwaway account for obvious reasons and apologies in advance if this turns into a bit of a rant, but I've been holding this in and I really need to get it out. Maybe someone here has been through something similar. Maybe someone will just tell me I'm not crazy. So here it goes. My 34M, wife, 32F, and I have been together for almost 7 years, married for 4. Up until recently, I honestly thought we had a pretty solid thing. We weren't perfect, obviously, who is? But we laughed a lot, had a decent sex life, made plans for the future. We were that couple. You know, the ones people say they're jealous of. Or maybe we were just good at faking it. The first sign something was off came a couple months ago. She started getting distant, but in subtle ways. Less eye contact. Shorter replies. She suddenly didn't want to go out much, especially with me. At first, I chalked it up to stress. Work had been a lot for both of us. But when I suggested a weekend getaway, something we always enjoyed, she brushed it off, saying, "What's the point? We'll just end up arguing about something stupid anyway." That kind of punched me in the gut. We weren't arguing. Not even close. But apparently, in her head, we were already fighting. Then came the weirdness with our neighbor, Jake, 35M. He lives 2 doors down. Decent guy, divorced last year, kind of quiet but friendly. My wife and I had been to a few neighborhood gatherings with him. Nothing out of the ordinary. Or so I thought. Lately though, she started bringing him up a lot. Like casually dropping his name in conversations where it didn't make sense. Jake said that grill you bought is overpriced. I ran into Jake at the store, he helped me grab the dog food. Jake's been really down lately. Poor guy. At first, I didn't think much of it. But you know when someone says a name too often? That instinct you try to ignore because you don't want to be the jealous husband? Yeah. That voice in my head started getting louder. Still, I didn't snoop. I didn't accuse. I just observed. And then came the picnic. That's where everything changed. So yeah, the neighborhood picnic. It was this potluck-style thing our street does every summer. Backyard BBQs, kids running around, lawn chairs, music, the usual. My wife was super excited about it this year. Which was weird. She normally hates small talk and bugs. But suddenly she was like, we should definitely go. I already told Jake we'd bring my famous pasta salad. Hold up. We? First of all, she hadn't told me a damn thing about this until the day before. Second, she hates making that pasta salad. Calls it basic. Suddenly it's famous? For Jake? Anyway, I didn't push it. I figured fine, maybe she just wants to be social. I even joked, you've really become a fan of Jake lately, huh? She laughed way too hard and said, oh stop. He's harmless. That phrase haunted me later. So the picnic comes around. I help load up the food, she's all dressed up, not like crazy overdressed, but definitely more effort than I'm used to seeing for a backyard hangout. I compliment her and she brushes it off with, it's nothing. Just threw something on. Yeah. Sure. We get there and right away she makes a beeline for Jake. Barely says a word to me. She hands him the bowl of salad like it's a gift from the heavens. He gives her this look, not obvious, but if you've ever seen a man look at a woman like she's already his, you know what I mean. I stood there like a third wheel in my own marriage. She didn't even notice. Then it got worse. I go to grab us some drinks, chat with a few neighbors, and when I get back, they're gone. My wife and Jake are nowhere to be seen. Not in the yard, not near the food, not with the other neighbors. I figured maybe they want to get more ice or something. I ask around. Hey, you see my wife? Neighbor, oh yeah, I think I saw her and Jake heading toward the side of the house. So I go check. And there they are around the corner by the garage, standing way too close. Her hand was on his chest. His voice was low, but he was definitely saying something flirty. I froze. It wasn't a kiss or anything. Not yet. But that body language? That vibe? That was not innocent. She sees me and jumps back like a guilty teenager. Jake just nods at me like nothing happened and walks off, cool as hell. And my wife? She blurts out, I was just telling him about the pasta salad recipe. Right? In the shadows. With your hand on his chest. I didn't say anything right then. I just looked at her. She couldn't hold eye contact. My stomach sank. I knew. Something was happening. I stayed for maybe another half hour, but I wasn't really there anymore. I went home early. Told her I wasn't feeling well. She stayed. 4 hours. So, after the picnic, things got weird. Like, weirder than before. She came home around 11:30 p.m., makeup smudged, hair messy, smelling like smoke and wine. I was sitting on the couch, still dressed from earlier, just waiting. I didn't say anything when she walked in. I wanted to see what she would say first. She barely looked at me and goes, you should have stayed. It was fun. I asked, where were you? She shrugs. Just hanging out. Don't be so dramatic. Okay. Noted. The next few days I start paying attention. And when I say that, I mean really paying attention. Patterns. Routines. Behavior. Phone habits. And suddenly I realize she never leaves her phone lying around anymore. She's taking it into the bathroom, turning its screen down, silencing notifications. Like cartoon-level guilty behavior. So one night, she falls asleep on the couch after a few too many glasses of wine. Phone still in her hand. I take the gamble and gently slide it out from under her fingers. No passcode. Idiot move on her part. Or maybe she never thought I'd have the guts to check. I go to her texts. There's nothing there. Like, suspiciously nothing. Whole convo's deleted. Red flag city. But she forgot one thing. The recently deleted folder. And oh boy, there it was. A whole chain of messages between her and Jake. Here are a few greatest hits burned into my brain forever. I can't stop thinking about Saturday. You smelled so good I almost lost it. He has no idea. It's almost hot how easy it is. Let's pretend we're just neighbors again next weekend. Make it more exciting. I felt like I was going to throw up. I just sat there with her phone in my hand, my heart racing, chest pounding, this rush of adrenaline and nausea hitting me all at once. Then came the photo. Yeah. A selfie she took in our bathroom mirror. Wearing lingerie I bought her for our anniversary. With the caption, "Wish you were here instead." I didn't cry. Not then. Not yet. I was too stunned for emotion. Too numb. I took screenshots. Emailed them to myself. Then quietly put the phone back in her hand like I'd never touched it. She was still asleep. I just stared at her for a while. I didn't even recognize the person next to me anymore. So the next morning I woke up before she did. I didn't sleep. At all. I just kept replaying those messages in my head like a loop I couldn't escape. Her words. His words. That photo. The smug way he looked at me at the picnic. All of it. I waited until she got out of the shower. She came into the kitchen all chipper, acting like everything was normal. Making herself a smoothie, humming. And I just snapped. "How long have you been screwing Jake?" She froze. Turned around slowly, blinking like she hadn't heard me right. Then gave this nervous, fake-ass laugh and goes, "What are you even talking about?" I pulled out my phone and slid it across the counter to her. "I saw your messages. I know everything." Her face turned white. Like, visibly drained. She grabbed the phone and scrolled. She realized I'd emailed them to myself. She looked up at me with this mixture of panic and rage. And then, I swear on everything, she rolled her eyes. "Wow. So now you're snooping through my phone? Real mature." She went on the offensive. Didn't even deny it at first, just attacked me for how I found out. "You really think that makes you the victim? Maybe if you actually paid attention to me, I wouldn't have to talk to someone else." She went on this tirade about how I was emotionally distant, how she felt unseen, how Jake just listened. And I'll admit I haven't been perfect, no one is, but cheating? With our neighbor? While lying to my face for God knows how long. Nah. So I pushed. "Did you sleep with him?" She hesitated. That split second was all I needed to know the truth, but she still said no. "We were just talking. Maybe it got a little flirty, but it wasn't physical. Right? Because people usually send lingerie selfies to men they're just talking to." I called her out. Hard. Quoted the texts. She tried doubling down. "It was just texting. I didn't cross the line. You're blowing this out of proportion." So then I asked. "Then why delete the messages?" Silence. She started crying. Weaponized crying. You know, the kind that "I'm trying to make you feel guilty" cry. Not a single tear about what she'd done. Just that I caught her. "I didn't want to hurt you," she sobbed. "I knew you'd freak out over nothing." Nothing, she called it. After months of lies and betrayal. Nothing. I walked out. I had to. I didn't even trust myself to stay in that house another minute. So yeah, I walked out. No shoes. No keys. Just my phone and the sick feeling in my stomach. I sat in my car for like an hour. Engine off. Radio off. Just sitting there. My mind was racing, but at the same time it felt blank. Like someone just unplugged my brain. I don't even know how to explain the feeling, man. You ever find out the person you trusted most, the person you shared a home, a bed, a life with, has been lying to your face and giving the most intimate parts of themselves to someone else? It's like grief. But they're still alive. Still right there in your house. Making smoothies. First came the shock. I kept thinking, there's no way this is real. Like maybe I misread the texts. Maybe it wasn't what I thought. Maybe this is just a weird nightmare I'll wake up from. Spoiler, I didn't. Then came the anger. I wanted to smash something. Yell. Break a plate. Go over to Jake's house and knock him the hell out. I fantasized about it for a solid 10 minutes, marching up to his porch, dragging his smug, cheating face out in front of the whole neighborhood. But I didn't. Because I knew I'd be the one in cuffs and they'd be the ones crying victim. After the anger came the sadness. That part hit the hardest. It's the little things, you know? Seeing her hairbrush on the counter. Her slippers by the door. Her stupid mug that says, "But first, coffee." I just sat on the floor of the hallway and stared at that mug like it was some relic from a life that didn't exist anymore. And then I cried. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just this low, quiet, pathetic kind of crying. The kind that drains every ounce of energy out of you and leaves you hollow. I didn't eat that day. Didn't sleep either. Just paced around the house like a ghost. At one point, I went back inside and she was in the bedroom curled up in bed like she was the victim. When I walked past the door, she said, "I don't know what else you want me to say." That was it. Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "I regret it." Not, "How do we fix this?" Just, "What else do you want me to say?" I didn't respond. I just kept walking. And that's when I realized. I wasn't just sad. I was done. After that night, things between us were just quiet. Not the kind of quiet that leads to healing or understanding. The kind of quiet where two people are just waiting for the other to make a move. She stopped trying. Stopped apologizing, not that she really started. It was like she assumed that because I didn't scream or throw her stuff out on the lawn, that everything would somehow slide back to normal. But I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. I'd go to work and sit in my car for 30 minutes before even going inside, trying to psych myself up. I couldn't concentrate. Every time I saw a message notification pop up, I'd feel sick. And the worst part? Jake was still around. Still across the damn street, acting like nothing happened. He waved at me one morning while getting his mail. Like waved. I didn't wave back. So I started planning. Quietly. Methodically. I called a divorce lawyer. Got all the paperwork started. Opened a separate bank account. Moved some funds. Talked to a friend about crashing at his place. I didn't tell her any of this. I wanted to be ready first. And then the universe decided to serve me one more confirmation just in case I was still on the fence. I'm sitting at home alone one night. She said she was going to clear her head. I get a text from an unknown number. All it said was, "You don't deserve this. You should know they were together the night after the picnic too." I'm sorry. No name. No follow-up. I texted back asking who it was, no reply. To this day, I don't know who sent that. Could have been a guilty friend. A neighbor. Someone who saw too much. But that was all I needed. I sat there staring at my screen for a long time. It was like a switch flipped. I wasn't confused anymore. I wasn't even angry. I was done. And honestly, that kind of clarity was the most peaceful feeling I'd had in weeks. It was a Wednesday. I remember that because it was laundry day and she was folding towels like nothing was wrong. Humming some dumb pop song. Like we weren't standing in the ruins of our marriage. I sat down at the kitchen table and said as calmly as I could, "I've filed for divorce." She stopped folding mid-towel. Didn't look up right away. Just froze, hands clenched around the fabric like it had personally betrayed her. "You're serious?" "Dead serious." She finally turned to face me, and that's when the waterworks started, full-on crocodile tears. "You're really gonna throw away everything we've built over one mistake?" I actually laughed. I couldn't help it. "One mistake? One?" I said. It wasn't one mistake. It was lying, gaslighting, sneaking around with our neighbor. It was sending him pictures in our house. It was letting me be friends with a guy you were screwing behind my back. She screamed then. Like, full volume meltdown. "You're just trying to feel like a victim. You never paid attention to me. You don't even know what it's like to feel invisible in your own marriage." I let her go off. I didn't interrupt. I just sat there and listened to her unravel. I realized in that moment she wasn't sorry. Not for what she did, only that she got caught. When she finally ran out of steam, she sat down across from me, sniffling. "Can't we at least go to counseling? Don't you think we owe it to ourselves to try?" Funny. Now she wants counseling. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "No. You made your choice when you chose him. I'm just finally making mine." She didn't say much after that. Packed a bag the next day and went to stay with her sister until we figured things out. I already had. The house felt weirdly quiet after she left. Not peaceful. Not yet. Just hollow. I kept expecting her to walk back in like it was all a bad dream. But she didn't. She texted me a few times. "Can we talk? I miss you. You're making a mistake." But I ignored them. I didn't know her a damn thing at that point. The real surprise came 3 days later, when Jake's wife, yeah, he's married, knocked on my door. I barely opened it, thinking it was her coming back to beg again, but instead it was Emily. We'd always been polite, neighborly, you know? Wave, say hi, small talk at the mailbox. But this time, her eyes were puffy, and she looked like she hadn't slept in days. "Can I come in?" she asked. I let her. We sat in my living room, the same place she and Jake had barbecued with us 2 months ago, like everything was normal. She didn't say much at first, just handed me her phone and let me scroll. Screenshots, texts, calls, photos. Turns out their affair went back way further than I thought. Picnic was just the most recent incident. They'd been meeting at hotels, sneaking off when we were both out of town, even using our home sometimes when I was working late. That part broke me. I couldn't speak, just sat there shaking my head, this mix of nausea and rage boiling up again. And then Emily said, "I'm divorcing him. Just thought you should know you're not the only one who got played." We talked for almost 2 hours that night, compared timelines, connected dots. I learned so much more about who my wife really was from Emily than I ever did from my own marriage. And weirdly, it helped. Not in a romantic way, nothing like that, but just having someone sit there and say, "You're not crazy. You didn't imagine this. You were betrayed." That meant everything. That night, I slept a full 6 hours for the first time in weeks. The divorce moved fast, probably because she knew she didn't have a leg to stand on. I had evidence, witnesses. Hell, even Jake's own wife was on my side. We settled within a couple months. No kids, thank God. No house to fight over, I kept it. She didn't even try to contest it, probably out of guilt. Or maybe she was too busy starting her new life. She moved in with her sister for a while, but I heard through the grapevine, Emily mostly, that she eventually started dating Jake. Yep, Jake. The same guy who ruined 2 marriages and somehow walked away acting like he won a prize. Spoiler, it didn't last long. Apparently, once they didn't have to sneak around anymore, things got boring or real. She caught him texting someone else within 2 months. Guess cheaters do what cheaters do. Can't say I was surprised. Just weirdly satisfied. Like karma was finally paying attention. The final conversation we had was about 6 months post-split. She wanted to clear the air. I agreed to meet for coffee, neutral ground. I don't know why. Maybe I just wanted to see her squirm one last time. She started off with the usual. "I've done a lot of reflecting. I never meant to hurt you. I didn't know how unhappy I was." I listened. I let her say her piece. And when she was done, I said, "I hope you figure yourself out, but I'm done carrying the weight of your mistakes." She blinked a lot, like she wanted to cry but couldn't quite get there. I stood up, paid for the coffee, out of habit, not charity, and walked out. That was the last time I saw her, and I didn't look back. So here I am a year later, still figuring out life after all that chaos. But I'm getting there. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The past year has been tough. It's like I lost 2 things, my wife and the version of myself I thought I knew. I had to rebuild from scratch, get comfortable being alone again. And to be honest, that was harder than I thought it would be. For the longest time, I was defined by us, by her, by this ideal of a marriage that turned out to be a damn house of cards. But I've learned a few things. First off, I deserve better. We all do. We get caught up in the idea that someone is our one, that we can't move on or rebuild. But you can. You will. I'm doing it, and so can anyone reading this who's going through the same thing. Your worth isn't tied to someone else's actions. Second, trust your gut. If you have a feeling something's off, don't ignore it. We all have those little whispers in our heads that say, "Something's wrong." I had mine, but I ignored them because I trusted her. I trusted her over myself. Never again. Third, don't let someone's betrayal define you. It's easy to get lost in the anger and pain and let that be your identity for a while. Trust me, I know. But that's not who you are. What they did to you doesn't make you weak. It just makes you a person who's been tested and is stronger for it. And lastly, give yourself grace. I still have days where I feel stupid. Days where I'm mad at myself for staying in a relationship that was broken long before I realized it. But I try to remind myself that I did the best I could at the time. I loved her, and I believed in us. It doesn't make me a fool. It makes me human, and I'll never apologize for loving someone fully. So, to anyone reading this who's in a similar situation, trust yourself. It sucks. It hurts. But it's not the end of your story. It's just a chapter. You've got this.